way things started off. It went real.
Why, hello, hello. How is everyone today? I hope everyone is having a very good morning, afternoon, evening. I don't know where you're tuning in from. Today, I don't have anything fancy in my mug today. It's just water. It's always good to stay hydrated. So I'm excited today to bring you another 5 articles. I was not prepared, so I am currently loading up all of my articles for all of you to see today. How is everyone? I hope everyone's having a good time. I have had a very, very busy couple of weeks. Had a very busy week, just even since Tuesday, since my last stream. Yes, today we have another 5 articles from our wonderful community. And these articles include those articles such as Blue Syndrome by Emily, Gogurian Green-Eyed Polydactylus Otter Syndrome, also known as Gogipos, by Rajar, Necro Scratch by Crazy Eddie, Carved by Willow H.R. Harper, and Symbiosis by me. Oh, hello, hello. Rajar, hello, thank you for following. Wait, someone said my name. Yes, yes, that's you. I'm reading your article today. I hope you have a good time during the stream. And while we're still getting started, I thought maybe we'd have a look at some of the art that we've created during the past couple of streams. Because we've got some good ones. I quite enjoy them. Let me just get this screen pulled up in a nice way before we go boom. Here are the streams from here are the arts from Tuesday's stream. We had some zombies, some energy drinks, a lady. Some of these will make a lot more sense when they're colored in. If I get to color them. I don't know if I'll have the time yet. But this is just some of what we've been up to. I know Mind Blot's been a crowd favorite. So that's what we came up with. All these, oh gosh. All the pixels. No, okay. I can't zoom in any further on the small version. And our first ever batch. Things have changed a little bit since our first day. The formula is a bit different. But today, we strike a new set of adventures. Io, hello, welcome! First time chatters, hello, hello. So yes, oh, that's the wrong screen. That's the wrong one again. Hello. Okay, so I think I don't know, Raja, you're like right here. Do you want your article to be first? With these little guys? Maybe. So yes. I was getting coffee, whatever works best. Yeah, why not? We'll start with these otters. Very cute. So we have the Gogurian Green-Eyed Polydactylus Otter Syndrome. And this is written out like a story, and that is fun. I love those. And here we are, the last of this batch. Funny, this one has extra fingers and toes, and such green eyes, Hannah. Well, green-footed otter, woo-wee, let's run the test. The maze door opened, a rare semi-aquatic maze, constructed solely for the test. The otter was to navigate the maze, based purely upon scent. The small underwater compartments were pitch black, and propellers, doubling as white noise generators, the volume set just low enough to prevent background noise from helping the otter orient itself, had been deployed. 5 openings had been opened to allow fresh air into the water, but only one allowed the otter to take part in the second part of the test. A single drop of natural biological Marpello honey had been dropped, 1 minute before the experiment, on the rim of this exit hatch. A different kind of honey had been dropped on each of the 4 decoys. Marpello was the otter's favorite and had been since they had been brought to the laboratory. Some otters had been fooled, but defying statistics, all polydactylous green-eyed ferrets had succeeded on their first try. Tortoladra Gogurian made some notes, then moved to the second page to note results. In the pitch darkness, in a 20 meter by 20 meter blank space, the height of an adult otter, another maze had been constructed. Like underwater, the fans were deployed to force air movement in the maze, but also to generate white noise. The scent marker used for this test had fooled the bloodhounds used as the control group, but not this otter. Talk to me, Hannah. Sir, we've discovered a somal-type marker of otter genetics. Oh? All octodactylin Georgie otters we've tested so far, all 300 of them, display at least double the olfactory acuity of the control groups, either regular otters or dogs thought to be particularly sensitive. Just how sensitive? Georgia here detected the invader plague with no false positives and only 1 negative, giving her 100% sensitivity and 99.7% specificity over 300 tests. The compound rate for all 300 otters is 1 false positive and 393 false negatives, over 90,131 tests. What? Those are the best numbers for any detector I've seen in the literature. Yes, I've extrapolated that by just deploying these 300 ferrets in sensitive areas, and we could save a few thousand lives over the first year of the program. We're going to see the minister, said Sub-Minister Era. Oh, Crazy Eddie, hello, thank you for tuning in. How are you today? Sub-Minister Era was woken up. It was just before dawn on the day of the day of rest. Your audience is on Gong Day. That audience opening, be prepared. Minister Minji. Hana would beg to leave present the results of some of our research. Proceed. Excuse me, Minister, but there was a moment of discomfort. Your Candace shifted. She knew that as security attaché to the embassy, her presence was only tolerated, but the warming of relations between Kagome and Goguryeo meant she could be shown some things. Things of importance in Kagome. In the area of public health and safety, her new LGOR06 rank bar is still shiny, still, well, unlived in. Is this information of a military nature, Hana? No, Minister. It is a potential advance in medical diagnostic. Then our guest may stay, provided that if they make use of this invention in the future, they abide by the terms of the Treaty of Sharing Patented Information. I'm granting you a temporary patent on this until we've ascertained just yet what you bring into my office. Ah, better now that I see you. No, bad day, but trying to relax now. How are you? Oh, I'm good. I had mentioned at the beginning of stream that I have been so busy. So busy. I've been packing, I've been cleaning, I've been stress cleaning. It's been an adventure. Carrying on. Thank you, sir. By doing so, he had just agreed he was funding her patent application, and in Goguryeo, medical patents were outrageously expensive. Hannah's head swam. She had expected a small bonus, not something on par with her yearly salary. Please notice this creature. A small mustelid filled the jade screen, playful, but was laying on its back, feasting from a bucket of freshwater fish nearby. Georgia, as we have taken to call her, is a green-footed otter of the type most common to our riverbanks. Georgia, as you can see, has 8 digits on each limb and startling green eyes. She also has a sense of smell that humbles that of the finest bloodhounds. Oh, and you mentioned this in regards to diagnostics. I take it this has medical applications? I've handed out the relevant statistics from our test and control groups, and we've performed 120,000 blind tests for the presence of the invader's plague. Georgie and her 300 fellows, all female as it were, detected every single one, easily, within the error margins of the tests. Minister, this is something we'd like to verify with our own experiments, but if it turns out to be true, we would very much like to license this patent from you. In the interest of verifications, could we have some of the animals sent to Kagome? Your Candace shook. She had lost her mother to the plague. Your climate is hotter and drier than ours. You should take care, but provided you bring her back, I don't. I think they mean to do destructive tests. Ah, no, at least I did not. but I cannot guarantee the types of tests our researchers will find necessary either. Could we purchase some of the animals? I'd very much consider it a personal favor if Georgie lived to a ripe old age. Hey, Georgie, catch! Shibue loved this game, throwing the little plush otter that Georgie carried almost everywhere for her to catch. Georgie missed, that was unusual. Then she stumbled and fainted dead away. Shibue raced her to the hospital, worried her recent friend, she'd only had her for 2 years, and hadn't known anyone to ask how long an otter lived. At the veterinarian hospital, Georgie Van Pelt? Shibue bought Georgie's still form. My Hervalin's name. It was so new she was still apologizing. She hoped that stopped soon. That fine young man with the beautiful manners and calligraphy. You are so lucky. My poor otter isn't. Oh, she will need treatment. She's got an elevated mercury level in her blood, but it is early enough. She should be fine. How old is she? I don't know. Shibue tried not to sound so rattled. Well, she appears to be just about 6 years old and in prime condition. Have you had her spayed? No. I was still considering the possibility of getting a permit and having her bred. The penalty is steep if you let her out of your sight too long. In Mehome's own head of lifeguards, if she escapes my notice long enough to do the deed, she'll have done more than Mehome has, and at half the smarts. How long does an otter of this species live? Obviously you seem to be a specialist in surveillance, so I'd defer to your judgment. You should enjoy her company for perhaps a decade yet. Doctor, I think she had been spayed before she joined the family. See here? The aide pointed at the light box where transparencies hung. Oh, that's good to know. Shibue wondered if such a thing was reversible. She very much wanted children of her own and felt Georgie deserved her own chance. That was a very fun and very cute article. I really love articles that are written in like a kind of narrative way, and they're really telling you about the world building through an actual story. And it makes me very happy that the otter was okay at the end. They will have their friend for another decade yet. Is that how long otters actually live? She's gotten her own article now? Oh gosh, I'll have to come check it out sometime. And of course, before I forget, I must link the article for everyone else to go have a gander, have a look, give a like, maybe. So. Let us see. What shall we? 16 years, I think. I copied that info from Wikipedia. Well, that's good. So we're being pretty accurate here. So, let us see where my tablet pen is, first of all. It's okay. We got it. Now, what kind of fun little adventure in the arts shall we have today? Of course, we have our wonderful little otters. We have a little otter waving hello with his many toes. Ooh. Oh yeah, Streamlabs does not like people posting links. If you ever have a link that you want to send me, feel free to send it over to me on Discord. That is completely fine. Katoy Poi, hello, how are you today? Thank you for joining. Happy time zones! Yes, happy time zones. It is a lovely 2:15 p.m. today for me. It has snowed, and I'm not particularly happy about the snow. So, oh my gosh, how do animals work? Permit command should give users 60 seconds of time to link something if you haven't disabled it. I'll have to check that out at some point. I'm still not super familiar with all the commands and things. But we'll get there. We'll get there. This is still my fourth like ever stream in my life. So we're still ironing things out. Yeah. I don't hate snow necessarily, but I have to, I have to get up and I have to go outside and clean off my car. Snow is great if I don't have to go somewhere. You know what I mean? Snow's great as long as you don't have to shovel it. Yeah, exactly. I'm lucky. At least I don't have to shovel snow very often because I live in like a complex. But cleaning off my car is still just such a disaster. I have these like super like I'm extremely tall, and so that means I'm very long. My fingers just have the worst circulation known to man. And so if I have to do any task that requires me being like out in the cold and out in the snow, and that includes cleaning off my car in the morning, it's just a nightmare. It's terrible, it's awful. I can barely sit at home sometimes if it's cold. I have to have a space heater on if I'm ever drawing something in a cold house. So I can just warm up my hands so I can keep it going without without freezing my poor little hands. Trusting in the process here. Compact stubby build here, wondering if you're taller than me. Yeah, I mean I'm a flat 6 feet tall, so Roger, yes. Wasteland Ranger, hello. Uh, thank you. I noticed you followed me while I was offline. Thank you so much for that. How are you? How are you doing? Almost a hand taller. Yes. Yes, I'm quite the long boy. Quite the long creature, I would say. I turned on the eraser. What does an otter hand look like? Otter paw. Internet, please. Please tell me your secrets. Oh, you missed the question. No, I was just asking myself what an otter paw looks like. It's the grand struggle of being an artist. You just don't know what things look like. How many? Otters are adorable demons. I haven't interacted with many otters in my life. I've seen them kind of like out and about. I've seen them at the zoo. They're definitely wonderful. Started following otter channels on YouTube. Oh. They do some messed up stuff to each other and sometimes other animals, because nature be scary. Nature do be scary. I mean, there's definitely, I feel like there's definitely different types of otters and creatures, and some creatures are just scarier than others. That's just, sometimes the super cute ones are just like really, really wild. That's how they get you. They lure you in by being all cute. Like dolphins and swans. Oh yeah, dolphins are really like not nice. They tend to be pretty awful, actually. I imagine domesticated ones get disciplined by their humans, while truly wild ones can go hog wild. Oh yeah, for sure. Nature's scary, but it really is pretty cool. Anyone else here just super into like nature documentaries as a kid? Like that's all you watched? Like catch me binging Planet Earth as a kid, just staring at my TV. Whiskers? I was so obsessed with like nature and animals when I was growing up. Like my parents used to send me to summer camp and I would be that weird kid who just runs around catching bugs. Like I would see one just out of like the basest corner of my perception, be like, "Ooh, run. Get it." And I would just be catching grasshoppers and things. Oh I was never quite the popular child as you can imagine. I may have even been considered at some points of my life weird. That's okay, because now I just surround myself with other weird people and it's not as bad anymore. I'm just around other people who share my wacky, wild, nerdy interests. And life is good. I was a weird nerd until I discovered D&D, then I was immediately weird nerd. Yeah, see, now it's kind of cool to be a nerd, right? Like people kind of want to be. I won't complain about it. Now I just get like more hobby stuff just in the mainstream. I can pick it up way more easily now. But of course now it's also cool, so they're trying to make money off of us, so I don't know normal people anymore. Yeah, true. I just I don't know. I'm part of all these communities where it's like if you're normal, you're the weird one. Like if you don't have some kind of like weird niche interest or like, people just kind of look at you like, "What are you doing here? Like is this your scene? Like we're happy to have you, but what's going on?" It's just confusion. Always happy to introduce people to my interests. That's why like every waking moment, like every opportunity I have, I'm just out here like telling people about WorldAnvil. Like, oh yes, have you heard of this wonderful website that I like make my life on? Community of wacky nerds who just write things. WorldAnvil is the first thing I check every day. Oh my gosh, that's so real. I'll like I'll get on, I'll just hello, good morning everyone. And I just open up WorldAnvil and there's some days where I wake up like, oh, nothing's changed, nothing's new, cool, I don't have any notifications. Other days I wake up and I have like 20, I'm like, what happened? Sent the links to the Georgie article via Discord. Oh, notification anxiety is a thing. Oh yeah, for sure. I totally understand that. Georgie. I love this creature. You know, I will post it for everybody. Hello, Georgie. Everyone please enjoy this lovely little creature. Such a little guy. Little guy with all these extra toes. Little scrungly whiskers. Wonderful. I do eventually have to move on to other articles, but like, he's just a little guy. Waving hello. On my third cat-sized or smaller mammal saving lives in the story. Wonderful. Well, everyone loves little animals. I think it's a delight that you're including them as little lifesavers. The other two are cats. Oh, perfect. Love the mix of reading and art on your streams. Oh, thank you, Get Toy Play. I thought they'd be super fun. Let's see. Let us indeed move on and see who is next. Probably click on the correct screen. I think we will move on to Blue Syndrome by Amelie. I want to play Mouse Guard sometime, a game where everyone is more adventurers. I don't think I've heard that. I've heard of that before. Yes, here we go. So I take it this is another one of the little like community non-official challenge entries from was it like this condition challenge by Katoblapon. Emily is so neat with her articles. Yeah, we have a lot of really wonderful people. Just even among those who have submitted to this to the special category who are just like fantastic with their articles. The way they're outlined, the way they're laid out, even the CSS. Beautiful. Wonderful. Blue Syndrome. Guild Alert. Fungi infestation causing surge of blue syndrome. Written by Madame Solane de Nevers. For the Rune Guild. I'm not well versed in my French, so how do people do their CSS so well? Well, it's a little bit of black magic and a little bit of breakdown. I've managed to do at least some of it on my own, so I'm glad for that at least. Blue fungus, DR flashbacks, yeah. By decree of the Senate, a Rasa infestation has been declared in the Garna Forest as of December 10/7/10. This alert and a reminder of symptoms and prevention and treatment measures should be immediately transmitted to all guilds working in the forest or with materials coming from there, including all educational institutions in the country. Symptoms. Rasa is a spores. Rasa is a parasitic fungi living in moss. It spreads spores through an area up to 100 kilometers squared. Square kilometers, I guess. Those spores are sticky and can stay on materials for months. Nerves. Handling contaminated materials disturbs the spores, and they are absorbed in our body through contact. In our sensory nerve cells in the hands, eyes, nose, and ears, the spores create a blue chemical, synmachimol. Its accumulation destroys the synapses, the junction of two nerve cells. Blue spots. The affected areas are covered in small spots of a characteristic faint blue color. Itchiness. The spots are extremely itchy, leading to violent scratching. This spreads synmachirol through the body and worsens the symptoms. Necrosis. The tissues quickly start to necrose. Death. If left untreated, the victim dies. And I love this little graphic that we have here with the symptoms. We have the same for prevention and also for treatment. I love that. In prevention, detect signs of infestation by carefully examining any new material coming from the Garna forest. Decontaminate by washing rocks and putting organic materials in quarantine. 40 days of isolation, not 20, it's in the name. Delimit quarantine area with ward to prevent students from violating it. Remember that forgetfulness and defiance are characteristics of that population. That is so true. Destroy material at the first sign of contamination, no matter their worth. That's what insurance is for. Denounce to the authorities any provider, shop, or craftsman refusing to follow these instructions, attempting to sell you dubious material, or not following the reimbursement policies. Be wary of any transactions made with dark mages. Dark mages, also known as those who are good at CSS. Treatment. Contact the health services as soon as blue spots are detected. Contain the victim inside a quarantine area. Attach them to prevent scratching. Tranquilize them to reduce the pain. Cure the victim by removing the spores from the body and the necrotic tissues. Therapy might be able to incite the nerves to regenerate, but loss of sensation in the affected areas is often permanent. Care for the victim if the necrosis is too advanced, and only amputation can save them. And that's the article. It's a very short and sweet one. But it's very, I like the way that it's designed so much. It's just these little graphics here. Like, they really made it. They really put like a visual element to a rather like simply laid out article. And so now the question is, how do we want to draw this one? Because it is caused by a fungi infestation. Little forest condition, materials. Yeah, the graphics help. Yeah, these I love tossing little icons into articles. I'll often use the little feature on WorldAnvil that lets you kind of put one icon into like the beginning of your article title, and like it'll just display it there. It's fun. It's a little bit of customization. I usually use it more for like my challenge articles. The font awesome icons are so tasty. Yeah, exactly. I wish I could use the like, what is it, RPG awesome, like the more like gamey version, but I feel like their options are so much more limited. Which, I mean, makes sense. Font awesome is pretty much supposed to be kind of like the catch-all everything kind of deal. Yeah. Let us see. What shall we do here? Go back to my art screen here. Hello, Otter. Hello. Goodbye until later. Never heard of Font Awesome, but gonna look into it. Yeah. Let me see. This is just the this is the link that's just like inscribed into my search history. But you can basically just like search up any kind of icon that you might normally use. You require a license pretty much to use it, I think, anywhere. But as users of WorldAnvil, we can use it within the site for free. And yes, before I forget, of course, here is the link to Emily's article. I keep being really bad about the links. I need to stop doing that. So you are all more than welcome to just yell at me if ever I forget to link an article before I before I move on to the art even. But God forbid, before I move on to the next article. So I think I got through like 3 articles the other day. Either on Tuesday or maybe even on Sunday. I just didn't link any of them. I didn't do anything. So I just kind of like went back through the log like, okay, I did this one. Here, have this link, please. And just link. But I think it's better if we space them out, maybe give each of them their appropriate amount of spotlight time. And yeah, feel free to give it a read, give it a like. You just look through it while I get on my little art thing. And so in my brain for this one, I kind of have this image of someone handing off materials to another person, and maybe these materials are contaminated with these spores. Like maybe I'll just loosely say that you know, loosely we can sketch this and kind of get a feel for the size that we're going for. Like maybe they're handing off to each other some kind of like little pile of wood or something. Maybe maybe the person doing the handoff has gloves on because they know that that's a danger. Maybe. That is a good idea. Yeah, we've one of the previous articles that I'd read ended up with an art of someone picking a very, very dangerous, very, very icky flower. And they knew well what its issue was and what its danger was. They were picking it to make poison out of it. So they, of course, should have some gloves on. Really, like, shout out to these streams for, like, social anxietying me into drawing hands properly with minimal reference. I've drawn so many hands on this on these streams since I started. I should start making merch of of just hand-related content. I'm not that popular though. Some tasty looking hands. Oh, thank you. I I always sucked at doing the whole like, oh yes, practicing hands. Or not practicing hands specifically, practicing art. So I'm always amazed when I can just kind of come back and do stuff. Even if it's been like a hot minute since I've done anything. I need to do things like figure studies. That'd be really cool. I kind of got started doing a lot of that last year. And then of course I stopped because I'm a menace to myself and to society. This poor person getting the handoff doesn't have gloves on. Poor lad. I'd have been following sooner if I remembered. Oh, well, you're here now, and that's what matters, right? It's much more fun to practice while just making art than practicing just to practice. I mean, yeah, that's fair. I think, well, I come from like an academic art background. Like, I went to art school, I did all that, so I'm no stranger to practicing for the building of the fundamentals and all that kind of stuff. Um, I never, I guess I didn't really enjoy it. Um, I would be one to argue that maybe I didn't really need to go to school for art because I mean I'll be honest, I didn't really do most of what I like I didn't do anything like this while I was in art school. You know what I mean? Like I all the stuff that I want to do, all the stuff that I am trying to do, I didn't really do while I was there. I did like fine arts, I did like all that good stuff. Like the like exactly the kind of stuff you would expect to see in art school and not so much in like a tabletop concept artist, you know what I mean? Although I managed to weasel my way past that by doing my own little project as senior year. I I really like to tell people all the time. It used to be one of my favorite things to tell people. Like I did my senior thesis and my honors thesis both. They were like a combined project on D&D. And so, yeah. I managed to weasel my way past the very stiff like, oh yes, the fine arts education kind of thing and I made an art book. So by no means do I regret going to art school. I would just say to anyone who's interested in art school, if you want to do specifically like concept art and game stuff and like basically just kind of drawing stuff on the internet, maybe don't go to art school. Or go to school that's specifically for that kind of field. Like seek out educators who know this field, who have connections in this field. And then you'll be you'll be set on a good path. A friend of mine made a post about adding being a DM to your resume. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it has a lot of transferable skills. Being a DM, there's a lot to manage. Especially if you're doing it professionally. Like, I know plenty of people who do it actually professionally. And it's really cool. I would love I I don't actually know if I'd make it as like a professional DM, but I would love to try DMing someday and just like cuz I like writing the stories. I don't know that I'm so good at like directing them, the way a DM would. I'd be a pro DM, but I'm super picky about players. I mean, I feel like at that point you kind of have to be. You can't just like take any random person. You have to be very selective about your time. Just any professional kind of has to be. Like, even I, as a vaguely professional individual in what I do, I say vaguely because I have been putting a lot less focus on it lately. Um, really gotta manage your time and what you're doing and what you're working on. Of course, I've had so much derailed by life being as it is. And so I am playing catch up on like 10 different things at any given time. And I'm just I keep saying this to myself month by month. Like next month will be easier. Next month will be easier. And I said that about like January while I was in December. And turns out January was even busier because now not only am I doing stuff and not only am I catching up with stuff, I'm also like I'm moving, I'm doing like doctor stuff, insurance stuff, like everything adulty is happening this year. And you know, since it's the beginning of the year and my birthday's coming up, I soon I will no longer be the little baby man on my parents' insurance, you know what I mean? So I have to get schmovin'. Wait, you can do that as a job? Yeah, people can become professional DMs. They can like host games. People can pay to join. You just have to master your craft, you know? You have to be really good at weaving stories and tales and just really know how to get your players into things. You need to be entertainer as much as you are just a dungeon master. All this word about professional dungeon masters. How about professional player, hmm? I'm sure they have those. Just look at crit roll, right? I dare say those qualify as professional players. Kind of a shame that I was never one to like keep up with Critical Role. I binged like the majority of season 1 at one point when I was just like at home. And I really enjoyed it. I just have never actively watched it. Like I've maybe tuned in for a stream or two, but I keep thinking like, oh, I'm like so behind and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I tried with Crit Roll, just get bored with it so quick. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sitting through a lengthy stream of people just like doing stuff is it's kind of my vibe. I kind of like it. So it's not really something I would necessarily get bored of just sitting there. Like I even know a couple people now who do Dungeons and Dragons live streams, and the only thing that stops me from tuning in is just me not being around when they're streaming, which is unfortunate. Like let me have some free time to support my friends, okay? Life. Thanks. Yeah, adulting has one major upside and a lot of minor downsides. Yeah. I feel like being an adult has like a lot of really cool qualities to it. It's just very it's a hassle to maintain. There's always something. Always something. Oh, I should go. Thanks for the fun time. Yeah, I'm so glad you got to tune in. I hope you enjoy. And I will definitely check out that article about Georgie. I'm thinking if I color this in, maybe I might make some very dubious, maybe blue spots scattered around on these bits and pieces of wood. Really get that point across. Like, this could be no good. It's getting hard to find in-person players lately. I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel super lucky. At my job, actually, we put together this little initiative that we were gonna start playing D&D together as coworkers, and so that has been really fun. I'm like cripplingly shy. I suck at getting into any actual roleplay, but being there is cool. I'm making new friends. At least that's the hope, anyway. I'm just way too socially awkward for my own good. But yes, here we go. We have completed another artwork, and now, which article shall we move on to? RP is hard, that's why I mostly float at LARP. Yeah, see, I want to get into roleplay at LARP so bad. I'll try my best, but then I get up there like, I don't know how to talk to these people. I don't know how to say words all of a sudden. All of a sudden, oh, I don't even speak English anymore suddenly. But I think now we shall move on to our next article, which is Carved by Willow H.R. Harper. I will do something revolutionary. I will post link before I even start reading, so I know that I did not forget it. And so, we have Carved. Unlike the cursed condition, there's physical evidence of the carved condition. The goddess herself is the one carving each child before birth. It is a genetic condition. The majority of offspring will be carved, but not all. If one comes from an uncarved family, the birth of a carved child signals the start of a carved bloodline. It typically takes a few generations to recognize a family has been carved, however. A carved family is a signal. Whether it is a positive or a negative one varies from family to family, as well as the perception of said family. For example, the Regan bloodline was considered carved to signal they were representatives of the goddess. Once their reputation started to waver, their condition was perceived as a signal they're enemies to defeat. Another example are the Samrad bloodline. Since the beginning, they were perceived to be carved to signal their traitorous nature. On the other hand, the Ilian bloodline has always been perceived to be carved to signal their nobility. The most peculiar situation, however, is the Nuadutal's nobility, as many families display the exact same carving. According to their culture, it signals they are actual descendants of the goddess. It seems plausible, as many among them are hallowed as well. Some scholars, however, perceive this on a more pragmatic level. They're the oldest bloodline on the continent, and incestuous marriages are a common practice. So what does it mean to be hallowed? Is that another article? Ooh. Aha, so it is another condition. I see, I see. Symptoms. A carved bloodline is recognizable by its unique hair and eye color combinations. For example, if other people can have the Regan Imperial eyes, it is impossible for other people to have Imperial red eyes and jet black hair at the same time. Oh, so if you're carved, you look a certain way, and other carved people are not going to look like that. Interesting. Treatment. There is no way to get uncarved. You can only be born non-carved or have a carved bloodline die out. Only royals, nobles, Anyasals, and Fadiosins are carvable. There are debates surrounding the Nuamorian goddess and whether or not she can carve her own creations as well. It is impossible to prevent, and if anything else, most families would want to have their descendants be carved. The only people who would wish to avoid it are those who wish their monstrous side wasn't signaled to the rest of the world. History. Old ages. The first carved family that was ever recorded was the Dragon family, and in the then queendom of the Nuatadal. As pointed out earlier, however, over the centuries, all of the major noble families of the New Adutal started sharing the same carving. The Regan family was allegedly the second oldest carved family. However, unlike New Adutal, its carving didn't spread out throughout the queendom of Anatal. The Ilian family has allegedly been carved since the foundation of Ilutal. It is particularly notable as Ilutal is the only country who has had a single dynasty since its foundation. Classic Ages. The Galen family started getting carved with the imperial hero. The Colfert family was carved a single generation before the fall. However, since they became Eniosals, it is unknown if any members of this family have survived, although rumors and stories remain strong about this fallen family. The Samrad family first carved members were first monarch of the royaldom of Ongustal and her twin brother, who betrayed the last Regan empress. Similarly, the Benrion family only started being carved with the first king of the kingdom, Ebadgathal, in the modern ages. The Eros family is the most recently recorded carved family. Cultural reception. Being non-carved in a carved family is a blessing if the family is ill-perceived, a disaster if the family is well-perceived. Some cases are more mixed, like the Banrian family, which is both well and ill-perceived due to the controversial members of its bloodline. So this seems like it's very heavily based on how people are perceived in their own cultures, in their own homelands, and it's very familial. So that's cool. So we have nobles essentially being defined by whether or not they're carved and what that says about them. Yeah, it's a very cool look at what a predetermined title could be. It's like, oh, you are carved, that means this. But does it really? So, the only visual that I'm really picking up from this is kind of the eye and hair color combinations that are, for example, unique to this. And the only one named is these red eyes and jet black hair. I'm wondering if there's a way for me to show that in a nice way. Though I do plan to color these in at one point. Oh, I sense whoever wrote this has been called not X enough by people of their nationality. Oh, that's an interesting take. So let's see. I kinda do want to just kind of make this, It's happened to me more often than you'd think. I mean, I'm not surprised. People just say so much out-of-pocket stuff. Like, why do people just feel the need to go up to people and be like, shitty? Like, that's the only word I can think of. Just like, why are they being awful? Like, don't tell people that they're not enough of something. Hello? Like, not only is it rude, it's also just kind of unnecessary. Also, who are you to decide? that there is just this kind of metric for what is and isn't enough of a nationality. Oreo comments I got as a black nerd. Alright. Terrible. Yeah, like I have known plenty of people who do talk like that, and I I'm going to hope that I don't really keep too much company that's just like weird about things like that anymore. That's the goal anyway. This reminds me of art I used to make all the time, just eyeballs and hair. Very fun. I enjoy doing it. It's the weakest of comments. Oh, true. People say it like they're being nice too. Like you should be happy to be told that. Kids were lucky I hadn't grown sass yet. There's always those moments you grow up and you just remember things people used to say to you. You're like, man, if that happened to me now, I could just pop off. And so you have those weird moments where you're like, oh man, I wish someone would. But then you also don't wish someone would because it just sucks to have it happen. Vicious cycle in the brain. But then you also kind of grow up and you're like, oh, well, now I'm surrounded by people who actually like this thing about me that people used to make fun of me for. And that tends to be pretty cool as well. Like, why did I used to get bullied for being tall? People are weird. Now everyone loves a tall femme shape. That makes me mad. Like, oh man, y'all couldn't have realized you liked this sooner? Maybe spared me some trauma? It would have been real nice. I would have preferred that, honestly. Yeah, this came out like super rendered. I don't know if I intended that. Because sometimes it's just how it goes. Oh, the misplaced rage of elder nerds seeing the things they were hated for popular now. Yeah, that's I feel like that's just how life goes, unfortunately. It you get bullied for your entire life for all sorts of crazy things, and then you grow up and people are like, wow, this thing is so cool. We love this thing. Like, wow, homie, you were literally one of the people that could have like shoved me into a locker for liking this stuff back in the day, and now you're all about it too. Like, by all means, enjoy it. Just do better. Do better in this life, please. Lovely, lovely. So, we shall move on. We have Necro Scratch by Crazy Eddie. Oh, enjoy, but you're banned from my table. Exactly. Like, that's all well and good for you, but I'm not entertaining you. Like, you can do your stuff over there, that's cool. Yeah, Crazy Eddie, I don't know if you're still here. You're here at the beginning. But yes, we shall post the link. That's what we'll do to begin with. So yes, we shall read Necroscratch. The necroscratch is an uncommon disease caused by a mushroom called the iridescent blue puffball, a member of the puffball family of mushrooms. Oh, me! Nice! Yes! If you step on the puffball, it releases a cloud of spores, mostly harmless. But if they come in contact with skin, nose, mouth, or eyes, it gets nasty, and they bury themselves into your body as a kind of self-defense. It starts with the feeling of not being right, as you have a cough and can't get rid of it. Then you scratch yourself, most of the time subconscious until it hurts, bleeds, or someone says something about it to you. After a few weeks, the itching and scratching drills into your brain, and it's getting on your nerves. The first blue spots appear on your skin. They do nothing except being strange blue spots, looking like you ran into something and can't remember where and when. But they move from time to time and reappear or get more in numbers. They are the first sign, besides scratching yourself to the state of bleeding, of the necroscratch, because from this point, it only gets worse if not treated. You are almost half a year in the necroscratch, probably bleeding from a dozen places because of subconscious scratching and drive me crazy itchiness over your whole body, and the blue spots keep wandering around your skin. One of them reaches the brain eventually. The spores kill your nervous system, or better, one by one, they destroy the connections between your synapses, especially those connected to your sensory system. There's no real rule which sense goes first. Could be hearing, the feeling in your hand or feet, maybe the sense of smell or scent, or if it's going really bad, your eyesight. At this point, the blue spots are staying where they are and are the least of your problems. You may think they are but a place for rapid necrosis. Oh, so you may think, but they are a place for rapid necrosis. Your skin will breach, bleed, and crumble. You might lose an ear, a finger, a tooth, or a toe. This is the last stadium, and if not treated, very deadly. The treatment is really simple, and just needs one thing: alcohol. You have to get drunk for as long as the itching persists, because those are the spores drilling into the flesh, cells, and nerves. A doctor or some assistants will have to guide you through the process, starting with wine and getting higher in alcohol volume. It destroys the spores over time, so they won't destroy your body. The period of how long you have to drink, get drunk, and stay drunk depends on the infection and how many spores are in your body. The effects the spores have on your body are partly reversible. You may gain back your senses over time by doing things and making new memories or practicing new hobbies. It helps to reconnect your synapses with each other. For the scratching wounds, there might be some potions to it, but the scars will not fade. There are a few things staying in your body. Sometimes numb extremities, hearing things or no hearing it at all for a short period of time, losing your eyesight, or flickering in the corner of your eye. Yeah, so this was a cool article too. So these spores, they just attack your senses. They leave you an itchy, uncomfortable, unhappy mess. And to get rid of it, you just have to get drunk and stay that way. I think that's a really creative treatment for a condition. This one is scary. Yeah, it's a little scary. I love the conditions people are coming up with. It has been so cool reading all of the different ways that people are interpreting these conditions. So yes, what shall we do? We could make an art based on the condition itself, or we could make a puffball mushroom. I know that was one of the first things mentioned in the article, is where it comes from. Yeah, absolutely, no problem, Crazy Eddie. I am just finding so much joy in reading these articles. They're so cool. So let us hop back to our art screen. Being stared at. I feel like I'm going faster with these arts, like the arts and the readings, like with every stream. I'm just like, I have more and more time at the end of each one. Ooh. But I mean, we have this one, and we also have one more article after this. So I mean, yeah, we got 40 minutes. We got 20 minutes per article. Oh yes, shroomy art. Yeah. Yeah, so wonderful. It's a iridescent blue puffball. I don't know, I find mushrooms to be such a wonderful and whimsical subject. Hmm. Yeah, my absolute favorite LARP character that I've ever played has been a fae who is sort of like mushroom plant-based. But all she does is like walk around and harvest all these things. So she's just always loaded up on flowers and mushrooms. And I love her. So let us see. Maybe we draw the unfortunate moment where someone steps on one of these mushrooms. Let's see. I'll just block it out real quick. How do I feel about that? Something like this. Maybe it had a little friend nearby. And this one is being like actively stepped on. And it is now bursting and releasing these cloud of spores. Kinda, opening is kind of giving me like pomegranate vibes. We will hope that this adventurer with their fancy boots was nice and covered up. Or we won't. I don't know how cruel we're trying to be today. This isn't really about the boot now, is it? We can just kind of be weird about it. Just great, and I missed that game. Yeah, I hope that game comes back. We keep hearing whispers on the wind that it might, and it also might not, and then just trying not to keep my hopes up, but also trying not to let the hope die completely. The last game was just such a wonderful, wonderful time. If the logistics just stopped getting so messy, we could have just the perfect game, in my opinion. Yeah. I just want my silly little fantasy game back. I just want to enjoy more stories like the ones we had at the last couple games. They were so cool, they were so immersive. And I got to have some of my favorite like roleplay moments actually at those games. Not even just as my character, but like as an NPC too. I got entrusted with some cool, like heavy screamy roles. And that was a lot of fun. I got physically picked up and thrown out of the Great Hall, and that was a lot of fun. I got to yell, and it was really cool. Yeah, see, this is like, it's the only fantasy game I played, so I don't have a lot of like frame of reference, I guess, for what other games are like. But even if I don't know what other games are like, it is just so much fun. And I think that's really what matters. I'm sure there are other fantasy games that are also really cool, but I don't really have the time to invest in playing a totally new game. Not unless I know that we're kind of putting our all into it. Like we had our all, just like we had our own house, we had so much going on. Looks really oh, Crazy Eddie says this looks really cool, so I know that I'm on the right track. Like we need to kind of brighten things up a little. Maybe not that much. Have to really play up the iridescent kind of quality. Here we shall see. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. A little bit of ick that you don't want to be touching, floating around in the air now. Definitely keep your armor on and maybe try not to even breathe, I would say. Viking themed games are the ones I would steer clear of personally. Yeah, I hear that those can, like, they can either be okay or they can be super problematic. Um, and I guess that's just, I guess it's more of just like a play at your own risk kind of deal. I probably won't hop in, given what I've heard. Or if I do, it'll be kind of like a special circumstance, like, oh, people I know are inviting me to play. People I know aren't weirdos. Not bothering to risk it with the fan base. Yeah, there is quite the questionable fan base depending on what angle you're looking at it from. There's just the people who are weird, and there's also the people who are like white supremacists. Um, and sometimes it's just really hard to tell the difference until they show you the difference. You know what I mean? A lot of people just don't advertise that stuff. So I will endeavor to maybe just go to my silly little apocalypse LARP and hopefully one day, my silly little fantasy LARP. Would be nice. That's the eraser. I need to stop doing that thing where I try to draw, but I'm set to the eraser. Yeah, it's just always a shame when you come into communities that are supposed to be, you know, like fun and inviting and accepting. And then people just ruin it, you know? And I wish there was an easy way to just kind of suss out whether or not people were like that. But again, they just kind of don't show you until they think they have you roped in. And they're like, oh, by the way, here's this really awful thing about this group of people. Thoughts? And when you respond negatively, as I imagine one should, they're like, oh, leave. And boom, now you're out of community because people are awful. And like, it's one thing if one of those people walks in and your community's like already pretty normal, you can generally chase them out. But if you're walking into a community where that's kind of like already the established fan base, you're the one who's out, not them. What kind of games are we talking? We're talking largely about like Viking themed LARPs. Because for some reason that's like the image that a lot of white supremacists have kind of latched onto as their calling card. But it also kind of applies to any kind of LARP group. It all depends. Yeah, I'm doing reenactment, early Middle Ages. People tend to get really nasty in that kind of community, but those are gone in the blink of an eye. Yeah, see, like when you've fostered a community that's already really good about things like that, it's really easy to kind of identify those people and just yuck them out, you know? It's a lot harder when you're walking into a community that's not like that. I've only been to a handful of different games because DR has outlasted most of the others I've tried. Yeah, I mean, DR certainly is not without its own issues, but the community at large tends to be pretty strongly against people who act in that kind of way. So it does at least have that going for it. I know there are a lot of things that kind of get swept under the rug sometimes, depending on who knows who. But that's just standard, I think, in any community. Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I can completely understand that managing a giant community is going to be difficult no matter what flavor of people you have in it. It was my first game. Yeah, DR was also my first game that I ever went to. And I mean, I've been like kind of distancing myself from it lately for reasons. But yeah, I at least plan to keep going back at some point. Maybe when my life stops being quite so busy. It'd be nice to just go back. 'Cause there are a lot of wonderful people out there. Out there in the apocalypse. No one cares what color you are in the apocalypse. True, at least that's how it should be. Luckily, luckily, I think that is at least not an issue in our community. So yeah, here we go. We've stepped on this puffball, and it is indeed puffin'. Lovely, lovely. It's so freaking cool. I'm glad you like it. your your opinion is the one that matters the most on this one, so I'm glad to hear it. You do amazing art. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you think so. Honestly, I did not think that I would be able to just get on stream and so confidently do this in front of people. 'Cause I always tell people like, "Oh, I'm like the most miserably slow artist on this planet. I work forever to do anything." But I guess sketching is a lot easier. Sketching is a lot faster. And I think this pressure to perform is really doing some wonders for my speed. And now shall we move on to the final article of the day? And this is an article from Ni Symbiosis. Here's another example of someone in our community who just really kills it with the article layout and CSS. Annie, woo! Yeah. So I always love seeing these articles pop up. And Annie's art is so cool. Am I right in saying that she does basically all of her artwork in MS Paint? Comes up with a very distinct art style, and I love that. Where do you get the CSS dark magic powers? Well, a lot of it is studying. I've had to look up a bunch of tutorials, and I don't know, like on a base level, it's not super hard. If you're purely changing styles like colors and fonts and all that kind of stuff, it's actually not that hard. It's actually like super uncomplicated. You just need to know what elements are called and what things you need to change. But then there are the actual dark wizards who will make like custom containers and widgets and all that kind of stuff. I have not delved into that. I don't even really know how to use them at this point in time. But that's fine. That's okay. We may or may not get there someday, but that day is not today. For the time being, however, let us get to reading this article. Oh, and I think this little Q&A thing is just a world a world thing in general. Welcome to Solaris, traveler. Let me get you up to speed. Question, where am I? You're still in the system known as Sol, except this time each planet is habitable and developed its own life. The people are humanoid mostly. Question, I heard something about a comic? Oh yes, the main comic is still in development, but you can read the first few pages of Little Blue if you click on that link right there. Question, what is going on? Sol is invading. The resentful sun sends its angelic armies, the Scourge. For now, They're being held back at Mercury by Penumbra. And now to the article. Symbiosis. It is engineered in origin, and its rarity is common. Symbiosis is a mutualistic and natural form of body modification. Symbiosis has been practiced with corals, mycelium, barnacles, and other sea life in Neptune since ancient times. In the early spacefaring days, spacefarers who traveled to Neptune would get symbionts implanted and mark themselves as travelers. Over time, the practice spread, and new symbionts were discovered and cultivated. Today, symbiosis is common in almost all corners of Sol. Traditional symbiosis is performed with the native species of old Neptune, but is becoming increasingly common to see people with fungi, plants, lichen, and even crystal symbionts. A few rare symbiotes even work as accessibility aids, prosthetics, or to give their host access to extrasensory abilities. Frequently asked questions. How do I get a symbiont? When you and your provider have selected a suitable symbiont for you, your provider will help the symbiont attach itself to your skin. Sometimes a symbiont will need to be implanted into your skin, usually no deeper than the dermis. Does it hurt to get a symbiont? While implantation might hurt, as much as anything requiring breaking the skin might, symbionts are generally harmless and should not hurt. They may cause some mild discomfort in the first few weeks as your body gets used to the symbiont. Question: why is my symbiont so small? A fully mature symbiont has already adapted to the unique characteristics of their host, and may not thrive on a new host, and may even turn parasitic. Only when a symbiont develops with and on their host is that risk mitigated. Aha. So you don't want to get one that's already fully grown, because it might just take over and do some pretty bad things to your body because it doesn't know how your body works. Question: how do I take care of my symbiont? Your provider should teach you what your symbiont needs. Some symbionts require watering, others sunlight, and others need nutrient pastes applied every now and then. Question: can I get my symbiont removed if I get bored? Your symbiont is a living being. It cannot survive if removed. Symbiosis is supposed to be a lifelong commitment. However, removal is possible. It will cause scarring, and some symbionts are hard to fully remove. Fungi and mycelium in particular tend to grow back. Question: why do some symbionts turn parasitic? It is very rare for a symbiont to turn parasitic. When they do, it is typically because of neglect. If you do not care for your symbiont, it could end up getting the nutrients it needs in such a way that you don't appreciate, such as leaching it out of your bloodstream. So take care of your nice little pet. A crystalline future. Over the decades, many have theorized how crystal symbiosis may empower the host. Many cultivars have been developed and discarded, but one strain of astrolite has proven itself willing and adaptable. It is still highly experimental. Reputable cultivators and experts on the topic of symbiosis have yet to verify any claims of supernatural abilities, despite the lofty claims of some providers that their symbionts have enabled flight, telekinesis, astral projection, and more. The risks are also poorly understood, and many warn against crystalline symbionts. So that is also a very cool article. I believe this is one of the articles that was fighting for a #1 spot on the leaderboard for a very long time. And so basically every single day on the Discord we'd see little sharing fights like, oh, like my article, like this one, or oh, which one actually won? Was it the cats article? Of course it's cats. It's always cats. But this is such a cool concept of people just putting different organisms and implanting them into their bodies, into their skin, and just living together as a little symbiotic duo. I love all the little details about how it's hard to remove, or how maybe sometimes you can't, or if it hurts, or how they might turn parasitic if you don't take care of them. Which definitely makes sense. It'd also be really interesting to know what happens if your symbiont for some reason dies. Hard competition. Princess Luna deserves the first spot because cats are cool. Oh. I'll have to actually go check out that article at some point. I haven't really crawled the leaderboards very much. But I know if they're up there, they're probably real good, so I should definitely check them out. Oh, I'm very curious about the section here, this little itty bitty section about the crystalline symbiosis. Very curious how that might work, and the implications of it as well. And I love how simple the little arts are. It's like they perfectly get the point across. And so, where shall we go from here? So we will likely be drawing some part of someone's body. From the art examples in this article, it seems like they're kind of localized around the neck and shoulders. And that would make sense. Let's see. It is becoming increasingly common to see people with fungi, plants, lichen, even crystals. I do love this idea of symbiotes as accessibility aids, prosthetics, and extrasensory abilities. That is something that got mentioned in the article. I don't want to get too crazy with it because I don't fully know how things like that might look like. But what if we add another little arm to our collection? Never escape the need to draw hands. Blocking stuff out real quick. Symbiotes can be a lot of fun. Yeah. You see so many different ways that symbiotes can just be interpreted. I kind of don't like the position of this hand. It's a little too simple. It's a little boring, even. See if I can sketch this and like still have it look normal. That looks pretty normal to me. Ayo artist, hi, Grinning Hazard, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. You are watching me draw yet another hand. I have drawn so many during these streams. This is, it's actually me playing the long con to prove to people that I am not, in fact, an AI. I hope it's working. I hope people are actually convinced. Suddenly, I am also nervous because I don't know how to draw hands anymore. Could it be I am the AI after all? A little close to the edge here. Move that over. Yeah, I've it really is the way to prove it nowadays. Yeah, I've started making a couple jokes like, oh, if I ever make myself merch, I think the first thing I'll do is make like little the modern Turing test kind of merch. Oh, like drawing hands. That's how you know. This isn't even about the hand. It's about the arm. I'm wondering maybe this person has little vines wrapping around and uh maybe even incorporating with. Now I'm waiting for someone to make an artist AI VTuber avatar. It's just a nightmare of menagerie of hands. Yeah, I don't know how I'd feel about seeing that. I feel like it'd be a little uncomfy. I like the idea of maybe having someone with this little blooming arm. Like maybe they've been keeping themselves well watered and things are nice and things are good. And they really love their symbiote, so it's not going to turn parasitic on them. At least that's the hope. Sunny Bird Boy! Hey Strix, excited I get to tune in this time. Hello, welcome. Yeah, there's a couple of people in here. I noticed you followed when I was offline, so thank you for following. Thank you for joining. Yeah, we are having fun. We have just read Symbiosis by Annie. Definitely a crowd favorite. Gotta support my fellow Anvilites. Yes, of course. I'm always trying to tune into people's streams whenever I see them up. I'm so bad at like hanging out on Twitch and like seeing people and noticing people. It's a struggle. It's life's greatest struggle is just finding time and being around. But we're trying it. We're trying to do it. I'm almost trying to see if I can make it look like these vines are actually incorporated into this person's arm. Like they are really truly going in there. They're maybe like going under the skin. I don't know if this is the exact way that this is meant to be interpreted, but I mean, I don't know. It's my art. I get to see, I get to think, imagine, do things. I hope everyone is having a wonderful afternoon and or time zone. I know I am itching to get myself some delicious food, and I will soon be able to do that. Someone, like the very moment I started my stream, someone came in talking about how they were gonna be eating something fantastic later, and I was just, I will be here streaming for another 2 hours. I don't have time for snacks. But we have to suffer for our art. It is the way. I just inhaled so much food. Oh my gosh, you're living my life. You're living my dream right now. I'm reading through my prompt articles while you're on the background. Wonderful, wonderful. I love hearing that people are using my streams as like productive time. They're just hanging out, listening. My favorite streams. I can just tune in, I can hang out, do my own work on the side. On my way home to paint. Oh, I want to get into painting minis so bad. I mean, I have a reason to at this point, and I actually feel really silly that I haven't started painting yet. Because one of my friends has gotten me to at least purchase a little starter army for Age of Sigmar. Um, but because time has been such an issue, I've barely assembled basically any of them, and I have not painted a single one. Just getting my first army for AOS. Yeah, what are you playing? I picked up a Sylvaneth starter box because, I mean, it's very thematic that we're talking about Sylvaneth right now while I'm drawing a plant symbiont person. Stormcast Eternals till Cities gets the updated book. That's cool. I still know very little about the game, if anything at all. I was kind of hoping I'd be able to jump in and start playing, and then I'd learn more. But then I never jumped in and I never started playing, so my friends have been throwing around the kind of this joke that I'm going to be one of those people who just buys the miniatures and either just like keeps them, assembles them, and paints them, but like never actually plays the game. And honestly, knowing myself, it's not entirely unlikely that that's going to be my life. I just need to find the time, basically. And I'm hoping that soon, in due time, I will be able. I have writing to do. Oh, what writing are you doing? What what do you do outside of your streams? I don't actually know. DR writing. Ooh. Yeah, we were actually talking about DR just not too long ago. Oh, bank exam. Oh. Ooh, that's fancy. It's always an adventure asking nerds like what their professions are in real life. Like I make websites go brr. I love that description. Yeah, because people see me. I'm just out here being a weird artist, and they're like, "Oh yeah, what do you do?" It's like, "Oh yeah, I draft fiber optic telecom lines." I do like real brain stuff. And they're like, "Oh wow." But then it's like it's not really all that weird because all my nerd friends it's like, "Oh, they're engineers, they're engineers, they're executives, they're doing this kind of they're like real adults." I don't like thinking about it that way, but they really are just real adults. With MA coming back, I'm getting back into writing my nightmares for people to play with. Goodness. Yeah, like I have a couple personal reasons that I'm not like super attached to DR at the moment. Um but I hope that I get to one day experience those nightmares that you're writing for people. On my last day working at a barn with horses. Horses are an adventure. I've I've only met a few horses that weren't like really mean. As a player, I'm kind of checked out, but I enjoy writing and building monsters, so I'm hoping to at least enjoy that. Yeah, for sure. I think I think that kind of like design stuff for games is always super fun. And I think it's always extremely fun to see how players react to it and interact with it, and especially if they love it. I think eventually I might hit a point like that, even with like D&D and such, where I tend to really suck at getting into actually playing the game, but I really like writing stuff that could potentially be used in a game. And that's kind of where my world building comes in. I I don't know how soon this might happen or if it will happen like in any foreseeable future. But if I ever write enough about my world, I would love to see people like hosting games and hosting stories in it. It'd be so much fun. I like even me writing my own stories. I think that'd be so cool. I have a couple stories like floating around in my brain that I could theoretically bring to life in my world. But we'll see how that comes out in the future. For now, I just have a lot of stuff I need to do. I need to finish my reading challenge article for WorldEmber. I need to finish up stuff that I plan to submit for the WorldAnvil World Building Awards. Which, by the way, is anyone in here going to be submitting stuff? I don't know how much stuff I'm gonna submit, but I have a map that I'm working on for sure that I do really hope I can submit for that map, the map prompt. Been playing for years and oof, 3.0. Ah. Yep, submitted a few of mine. Very cool. I haven't even heard of this competition. Yeah, I imagine that it's probably somewhere on the WorldAnvil site. Let's see. Oh man, where would I even find this? Oh no. There goes the tablet pen. Being an artist is hard. Oh, is it cause now I want to find the link and see if I can just kind of pop it in chat real quick. Oh, okay, there it is. Let's see. Boom, here you go. It's the World Building Awards 2022. I do think that I'm finished with this little illustration though, so I can actually just kind of hop over back to my little stuff screen. And yes, we have the World Building Awards 2022. And you can send your submissions for all manner of categories. Oh yes, article categories. Articles touching on intellectual, sociological, spiritual, or cultural accomplishments and traditions of people in your world. Article relevant to the history of civilizations and peoples in your world and their legacies. Your natural world in all its glory, an article describing anything from species to locations to natural and supernatural events. Interactions of people in your world across a grand scale, diplomacy, war, trade, and collaboration, the people who drive and engineer them. An article describing a technological or scientific, including metaphysical accomplishment, or celebrating creations developed by people in your world. Article describing an aspect of your world building which are mythical or fictional within the construct of your world. Which I think is really funny. World building inside of your world. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, and there's time and space for the best chronicle. There's the best timeline and the best original interactive map. Yeah, and there's so much stuff that you can submit work for. And so yeah, again, I'm definitely gonna put a map together, or at least I'm gonna try to. And yeah, so we'll see how all that works out. Let's see, submit your world building before January 21st. So we've only got we've got a week exact. So get your stuff in ahead of time. Really cool way to help folks take shots of various aspects of this. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great way to encourage people to write and to get people maybe even out of their comfort zone. And yeah, so I definitely look forward to finding something that I can pop in there. Oh gosh. So yeah, I'm just taking a peek because it is 4 o'clock, and so that is kind of the time that I've designated as when I shall be checking out. But I was thinking maybe for like the first time in my life, I could attempt to raid somebody. And so I'm just looking to see who I know that is online. Because I just got here. Oh, well, Keegan, you know that I start at 2 o'clock and I run 2 to 4. You know my schedule. Technically, I should already be out of here. I should already be gone. But of course, I see that the only person that I follow currently that is online is Timepool. But Timepool is fantastic, and I know that they do fantastic artwork. And I would love to send all of you there. Let's go! Yes! Let's see. Can I spell? Is that a thing that I know how to do? Ooh, the raid. Let's go! So, okay, I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are heading out. Or, in a moment, I encourage you all to have a wonderful time. Spellings for quitters. Have a wonderful time. I don't really have a raid call yet because I'm brand new. But, have a wonderful time. Be sure to stay hydrated, get writing, grab your hammers and go world build, and we are going to grab our hammers and go raid Timepool. So goodbye, everybody!